everybody, your designers are here.
I'm Anita at Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home. And we've got tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started.
Today is episode 264, Easy Fall Centerpiece Ideas. And you can find the show notes for today's episode at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/264. And today's a really fun one. We're in the swing of things for fall. And we're going to talk about ways to beautify that horizontal surface, maybe that dining room table with something really pretty for fall. You know, all you need in your house is one or two really gorgeous centerpieces and then just a little bit of accents here and there to just make your house look so beautiful, so in season, and give it that real lift that we all love to have during the fall. So girls, what is your favorite place to put a centerpiece?
My dining room table. My dining room is kind of the center of the house. You have to walk through it. You can see it from the front door, I should say. And then you have to just walk through it to get to the kitchen. It's the quickest route. Everybody usually goes through there. So I always like to have something on my center table that's really pretty. I would say I would use the term centerpiece sort of loosely because it definitely has different looks as we go through the year. But as we tend towards the fall and into the holiday season, it does get to be a little bit more elaborate, if you will, and maybe a little bit more traditional in the centerpiece sense of the word. So that's where I like to have something. And then in my kitchen, we have that Crate and Barrel metal and marble table.
I love that table.
Thank you. I know, really, that was a good find. I don't put something in the center because that would kind of get in the way.
Is that where you eat meals with your family?
Lots of times we do. We haven't, I have to say, in the summer, sometimes we sit outside, but that is probably the one that we sit at the most. We do sit in the dining room sometimes, but, we eat late. Everybody's going all over the place. And sometimes there's just three of us because maybe somebody's at volleyball or somebody's babysitting and they're not coming home till later. So primarily we do. But for the day-to-day, during the day when no one's sitting there, I like to have a tray at one end and I'll have something there, whether it's even, an apple with a little vase with something cut and maybe a candle or something like that. It just feels sort of naked in the room if I don't have something there, even though it's not a big to-do. It's just I like to have something there.
Anita, what about you? Where do you put a centerpiece?
Well, I love to do it also on my dining room table or maybe my breakfast room table. And I like also having things on the center of my island. But the thing about it is I don't like anything too tall there because I feel like that's where, there's someone sitting across on the other side of the island talking to me while I'm cooking. So I'm really fussy about, I've kind of gotten where I don't even put things there anymore. So the dining room and the breakfast room. And it's kind of what Kelly was talking about. I think that's a good point, is to kind of think about the room and what vantage points do you have where you can see that room.
Right. How you use that room. That's very important. You're right. Well, there's so many beautiful things you can put on a table for fall. And, fall is probably my favorite season. And, it's like pumpkin land here in Lancaster County. So, one thing that I love to do, and I've done this on a dining room table, is I have a big old shutter and I put it on my table. I mean, it's pretty big. I can put place settings around it. And then I just tumble this rambly swath of pumpkins, like the Cinderella pumpkins and the green pumpkins and the white pumpkin sort of tumbling down that. And I fill that in. My favorite thing to fill that in with, believe it or not, is pine cones, because pine cones and pumpkins look really beautiful together.
Oh, yeah. You always say that pine cones are not just for Christmas. And I have to say, I agree. I picked up some pine cones and I was thinking of you, Yvonne. I don't even know if I had a chance to tell you this yet, but when I was in the Pacific Northwest hiking a few weeks ago, there were pine cones, beautiful, perfect, pristine pine cones. And so I picked up a whole little cluster of them and I thought to myself, I'm just going to decorate with them right away when I get home, just like Yvonne says. And I did. I kind of just rolled them right out on the dining room table, mixed them with the tapers and whatever else I had going on there. It looks so pretty. And nobody said, oh my gosh, it's not
You're
Christmas
using
yet,
pine cones.
Oh my gosh. I like to do things on the center of my dining room table that when together make a bit more of a presence, but then I can break them apart. I did this a lot in my book, and people seem to really respond to that. And one in particular was the Christmas floral arrangement that I did in 3 different silver vases and different.
Yes, lights. I love that.
And then I did one that's sitting there now, and it's in a long wooden trough. And inside the trough are 3 separate mason jars, and you could fill them with flowers. You could fill them with wheat if you don't feel like refilling the water, or like even faux stems or bittersweet or something like that. That's nice because if you are using your table, you could of course take it all off if you wanted to, but you can break it apart when people are going to sit there, and then it's not visually impacting your conversation or anything like that, because now it's 3 separate smaller vases that you can just spread across the table. And then when they're not there and you want to have a little bit more of a wow in the center of your table, you can put it all back together, whether it's it's corralled on a tray or whether it's in a wooden trough like I have now, or some other sort of long rectangular box works really well. Whether it be like a wooden box, you can sometimes find those at, like nurseries or plant shops. And that's a good way to be able to enjoy it when the table's in use, and also when it's just there for, the prettiness of it.
Well, and I think that's a great idea. Well, and you all talked me into using that wooden trough for my farm and putting it on my breakfast room table, but I filled it with those beautiful velvet pumpkins that we all adore. It's now so heavy, it takes 2 people to move that thing.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's a little oversized, so be careful what size. I mean, really a smaller size, I think, would probably be better.
And and you both made such good points, because you're talking about how to sort of break things down, how it's like too heavy. You have to be careful. You can do a centerpiece. I have something on my dining room table all the time, and it tends to be high. Like, I love this. I have a big gray urn. It's huge. And I fill it with something seasonal. And then I spread, which especially in the fall and the winter, a lot of candles on either side, because I like the glow. But if I'm having company, I try to keep my centerpieces lower. So it's really important. Are you decorating for a table that is not going to be used, or are you decorating for a table that people are going to actually sit down and eat?
Yeah, that's a real problem. I mean, if you have to see people across, like I was saying in my island, that can be an issue, or if you're sitting down to a meal. So, to me, there's 2 different ways. It's what you're doing when the table's not in use, and then what you're going to use when your table is in use. So I often have something rather large when it's not in use. But then when people are sitting there, I really try not to have it, anything more than about a foot tall.
That's why pumpkins work so great. Because I
love pumpkins.
They're just the right size. Here's something else that you can use for the fall. And don't turn your nose up on these, but use mums. They come in so many beautiful colors. And I look at them as long-term cut flowers, because they last a long, long time. And sometimes I can get a month out of them before they start looking a little shabby. And I do have a few secrets that I'm actually going to post about in a week and a half from now. I think that's on the editorial calendar. But
so you're not going to share those with us now?
I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep.
Well, I just think if you live in an area like I do, where it's cooler outside than it is in, I once in every few days, I let my mom sit outside.
Oh,
because they just
my moms would be crying.
I know.
Yeah, they're knocking on the window.
Exactly. And, sometimes you've got to keep them watered well. And there's a few other things and all. If you want to head over to Stone Gable in about a week and a half, you can see it there. But don't don't let them sit in those black plastic pots. It's okay if they're in the pots. And, I used to literally take them out and transplant them, but sometimes that shocks them. So I don't do that anymore. They're happy for their life in that plastic pot. But the idea is now you've got to find something to put the pot in. And so you want to find 3 pretty containers. I have 2 champagne buckets that they fit in. I've got another one that's a little bit too small, but I also have some big white bowls. And one is actually that you put beverages in, like, cold beverage, ice and cold beverages. And a really big pot of Mums fits in that perfectly. So you just want to scout around and find something, or an olive basket that it fits in, and they look beautiful on a table. And then you don't feel so bad. At least around here, they're quite inexpensive, probably a lot less expensive than a bouquet of flowers. And then you can just switch them out when they're looking a little bit, seen better
Droopy.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about using pine cones or maybe pumpkins or something in a dough bowl or something, there's a little secret that we all use a lot, and that is to buy some moss and spread that around. I mean, the moss really works so well year round. I mean, that's something I think that it's good to have in your decorating arsenal year round. And then you just put on top of it whatever is seasonal. Maybe in the spring, you're going to put the bird's nest and the eggs. For the fall, you can do the pumpkins, wintertime, pine cones. I mean, it all looks great on top of that moss.
Everything looks better with moss. As I age, I might add moss everywhere around myself as well. It's like
your
mulch
home with
in
moss.
the garden, just like put a little around my eyes. But moss is great. I used it. You can find those inexpensive wire baskets, or the one coming to mind that I have has handles, but again, it's that rectangular shape. And so I used that by filling it with moss, because you don't want to just like plonk in a pot, and certainly you don't want to plonk in one of those plastic ones that you get at the nursery or the grocery store. So you want to disguise that. So you could get the moss. I tend to either use that taupey, dovey, grayish, brownish one is usually the one I choose. But they have pretty green ones too that you might want to consider.
Like the sphagnum, not the sphagnum moss. That would be, it slips my mind. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this one is more, it's not, it doesn't break apart. It's kind of like, it's
the stuff that hangs from the trees.
Yeah, Spanish
in
moss.
Savannah. Yes,
yeah, Spanish moss. So you can buy that on Amazon, or you can buy that at your local nursery, or probably maybe Costco. I don't go there, but maybe definitely Home Depot and places like that. So sort of like some of the other things we say to you, buy an extra bag or 2. You can always return it rather than going back and then they don't have the one you want. So buy maybe 4 bags or so, and then you can just sort of stretch it out and you play with it and you fill one of those wire baskets. So you're seeing the moss through the wire basket, and then you can slip in your Mums or your whatever other plants that you're talking about. You could do boxwood, you could do whatever you wanted, and then you could tuck in little pumpkins too, because if they're just a little baby boos, they might be kind of buoyed by the moss, and you can make such a pretty arrangement like that. And that's beautiful on your table. The moss, I would make that creation outdoors, because when you open the bag and then you start pulling the moss apart,
moss
you're
dust.
You're going to be emailing me like, Kelly, why did you tell me to do this? I have it all over my house. But it once you pull it apart and you put it in place, unless you're banging into it, it doesn't move very much. It's just when you're stretching it.
And also I keep thinking acorns, but acorns are so small. Now I use them to adorn like the bottom around a centerpiece. But if you buy glass cylinders, they look so pretty with like walnuts and acorns and almond nuts, all filling these beautiful cylinders. And then you can put a little candle on top of that. Like a little.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Like not a votive, but like one that is not in the silver, that sort of sits on its own. It's a bigger votive. And you can put a candle on top of that and it looks beautiful. But you were talking about the green moss. It would look really beautiful if you put a little bit of that in the bottom of a cylinder and then filled it up with something. And especially if they're grouped together and they have different nuts, or you can use popcorn. and with your acorns and your walnuts. That is such a pretty look. How easy is that?
Yeah. And that just brought to mind something that everybody seemed to really enjoy. So I'll mention again for any of our new listeners, which we have a lot of. So welcome to them. I put, it might be 2 falls ago, in a glass container. And it wasn't a particularly tall one, maybe 8 inches tall or something like that. And that mine had a lid, but yours doesn't have to. Just a whole bunch of fresh orange crayons.
Yes, you told me about how cute.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cute and really whimsical, and not something like I would normally do because it's a little too sort of whimsy for me. But it was, I don't know why I had all these orange crayons, and I had this empty jar, and I thought, what am I going to put in there? And whatever I was doing on a bookshelf, and whatever I was putting in there was brown, and the bookshelf was wooden, and it was just fading away. It wasn't having any impact. So I just thought of these crayons, and one of our wonderful listeners wrote in to let us know that you can buy crayons in single color packs. FYI. So
on Amazon, probably.
I don't know where that was. I'll have to see if I can find that link. But I wouldn't use that necessarily on a table centerpiece, but that's a really cute idea on a side vignette, or in a bookshelf.
I think so. That's a great idea.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com.
Well, here's something else that's really hot right now, and it's that beautiful seeded eucalyptus.
Yeah.
Oh, I
as
love
a layer. That. Oh, everybody, especially the blogs, you look on when it's time to decorate a mantle or a tablescape or something, you will see seeded eucalyptus. And I can only get it in where I live at a florist, but I know that if you have a big flower market near you, I know that you, Kelly, can get it, right?
Well, I got mine at Trader Joe's, and I used it in
at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, it was only $2.99 for a bunch of for a nice handful. So I got a few bunches, and I used it in the YouTube video for the entry, and it's so pretty because I brought one of my rusty urns in from the garden, and I put it by my bench, and I just let the eucalyptus. I put it in a big glass cylinder in water. It still needs water; it's going to dry out on you, even though it's it kind of is technically branches, but it just dripped over. And then I sat a pumpkin. So easy. I just
there you go
right on top of it.
And I could just see that like on a cake pedestal with branches of that sort of going around in a circle, really looking pretty with the little seeded parts sort of falling over and then having just a big Cinderella pumpkin on it.
Well, and the thing is the retailers have gotten wise to the fact that although we love our orange pumpkins, some of us demand more. Some of us demand more options. So, I mean, there's just so many different choices now where you can go to about anywhere and they have the green pumpkins and the kind of pink pumpkins and the white ones. So, I mean, we got a bunch of pumpkins, at our Trader Joe's for our booth at Bespoke Decor at Round Top. I grabbed up a bunch of little white pumpkins and a big green one. But, Walmart, I noticed had a bunch of pumpkins as well that were little white ones. So,
let me give you a little hint anywhere. Because we just have them. First of all, I could walk like a quarter of a mile down the road and there'd be this huge field of pumpkins. There are fields of pumpkins everywhere around here.
Oh.
And a lot of orange, but other ones as well. And we have a lot of Amish farms that sell them on the back of their big wagons and things that are pulled down the lane out towards the road. But put a box in your car in the fall. So in case you decide, I'm going to get that pumpkin, it's not rolling around in your car somewhere. So I always keep a box, and I have a little SUV. So I keep a box.
Ding,
Because they'll roll around and they will get damaged. So it can be a low box, a wide, but a big box in the back of your car, big cardboard box, and just keep it in there all fall long because you never know when you're going to pick up that pumpkin for your centerpiece.
Well, and imagine experiencing the heartbreak of choosing the perfect stem and then hearing it roll on the trunk
and snap too.
The telltale snap.
That's awful.
Right, I know.
But remember, don't let it sit there. Pry it off.
Yeah.
Let it dry out. Put it in a baggie and put it in your underwear drawer. Because that's where we all keep our dried stuff.
Oh my gosh. There's been so many people that have been giggling saying that to me. You know where my pumpkin stems are? I'm like,
so that's right. So if you want to know,
I know.
You put it in your underwear drawer. And there's also, make sure you're using lanterns. I mean, I love my candlesticks, and I particularly love to use anything that's sort of shiny because it gets dark early. And I've got some really great candles on timers, like that I have the timer in my hand and can do it. It's just such a nice commodity. It's a little luxury. I do like real candles, but then again, I'm always afraid I'm going to burn my house down if I leave one on. And I love to look at them. Like even if I'm sitting in the kitchen or sitting in the family room, I can still see sort of the flicker in the reflection of the French doors. So I love that. But use lanterns. Lanterns look so beautiful on a table. Now, this is a table that you're not going to have somebody sit down to. This is going to be how it looks when it's just decorated, because most lanterns are pretty tall.
Yeah. I know this is a little off the table, so to speak, but I did take one of those lanterns, and it never occurred to me. I have a couple of those bigger lanterns on the ground in my porch, and I had various things in them, like some moss and some willow balls and whatnot. And I thought, why didn't I just put one of those candles in there? And it's so nice. Now I have it on the timer, and it's right by my door, mixed in with my container plants, and it just goes on at night. It looks so pretty.
We like those here because of the convenience they give you. And now they look so realistic. They flicker. And sometimes I think, did I put that? Is that a real candle or is that one of my luminaries? I'm not quite sure because I do keep a lot of candles on in the evening, in the fall and in the winter. Another thing, Anita, and I know that you do this and I'm surprised you've not said anything yet. What about those sheaths of wheat?
Oh, yeah. I love using those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I had mentioned it recently, so I thought, well, maybe I'm not going to say it
Oh,
this
but
time,
maybe
but
they
it is
didn't
a great
hear
thing
that
to do.
one.
Yeah, don't
That's
hold
true.
back.
No, it's a fabulous thing to use, and it looks so pretty. And I think the thing that we all three agree on is natural is the best way to go if you can. So to bring the natural wheat or the real pumpkins, and then I mean, some other things are nice as well, but the real is just so elegant for your table and simple too.
Now, I have not been, yes, I so agree with you, Anita, but don't put it past me to throw in a faux pumpkin that I've painted.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's wonderful too.
Mm-hmm. Because, sometimes if we are, especially because we're bloggers, we start fall very early, like in August. And if we're asked to do something for a company or we're on some kind of a tour, it's very difficult to find pumpkins in August. So we usually go with faux by then, but then I'm sort of replacing them out. And here's another thing. This is another little tip for you. If you love those little white baby boos like I do, I just love them. And if you get them in September you can keep them to Thanksgiving. The issue is I actually I'll put a link to my post on how to let them keep them lasting longer. But if you don't like them orange and that's all you can find, you can paint them.
Mm-hmm,
and you can paint real ones and it works perfectly.
Yeah, I think that's a great option if you don't want the orange.
Absolutely.
But it surprised me how many places have the little baby boos in white these days.
Mm-hmm. Now they do.
Just take a look around. You'll probably find what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think fresh and natural is really the way to go. It also seems to be a lot less expensive. And on top of it, you don't have to store all that stuff.
Well, that's what I think too. Oh, the storage. Yeah.
So if you have real pumpkins, I did this last year. I do feel sorry for them when they're still in really good shape, but I can't do cross-holidation and I need to get rid of them.
That's right.
We were saying that at the booth too, because we had some pumpkins and we had them next to our Christmas pillows in our booth at Round Top. And I said, oh no, Yvonne would be so upset. It's cross-holidation.
I know. We were not suggesting to display them together at home. Of course. No, don't try this at home. No. But yeah, so when I had to let them go last year, I was gardening. So I just chopped them up and I threw them in the garden. And I told you guys I got some pumpkins coming up. And I was so excited, but I have to say, I don't share a home with other gardeners. And when I was away, my pumpkin died.
Oh,
so
no.
I have one in my raised bed that I have great hopes for, but now it's like I have all my hopes on that one. It's going to be too much pressure.
Too much pressure for that dear little pumpkin.
Exactly. So anyway.
Just let it be what it's going to grow up to be.
Exactly. I might the pumpkin might only come into its own in like December 12th. It might be too late, but that's okay.
Then you put a Santa Claus hat on it and call it a day.
Call it a day. Mm-hmm. We're still going to be proud of it. Yeah.
That's right. I think also you have to pay attention. What do you put a centerpiece in, or what do you put it on? What kind of a table runner? Do you use a table runner? Don't you use a table runner? I think burlap is gorgeous in the fall. So if I'm going to use a table runner, it's probably going to be burlap, just because I love its texture and it just feels like fallish to me.
I think that's a great idea and it's super inexpensive. But, another thing that I think is just stunning are the tartans and the plaids. I love those. And there's so many beautiful tartans. So I think that's another option.
Yes. Well, we're part of the Buchanan clan, and we have an ancient Buchanan tartan that has all the fall colors in it. So I'm particularly fond of that one, but there are such beautiful plaids. You're right. And they're usually called a car rug or a wool throw, and you can get them. I'll put a link in our show notes for one that I've gotten, and I actually pass on to other people that would look beautiful. And especially if you're doing an outdoor table and need a fall centerpiece.
Oh,
that's the way to do it.
Oh, that sounds nice. And if you're not part of a clan, go ahead, clean out your closet. Then head straight to Quinn's. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor. And I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health: potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. I'm going to give you this tip. You can just go to Joann's and buy a yard or 2 of plaid fabric that you like.
And then just call it whatever.
And you can call it, whatever, the whoever family's clans special tartan, or just, fold it in half, tuck in the edges.
You can be an honorary Scottish person for the fall.
Yeah, roll it down the table.
But I'm telling you, look at the Buchanan ancient tartan. It's orange. It's gorgeous, but it's soft.
It's orange.
Really,
yeah,
really
I think
soft.
the Rose of Scotland is really a beautiful one too.
Mm-hmm. There's another thing that you can do is you can fill up. I so love cylinders. I'm just wild over them, like with candy corn.
I don't think anyone's ever said that before.
Like glass cylinders, Yeah, I have them in every size, like every width.
No, they are incredibly useful. I just don't think anyone have expressed that. I think that's really nice.
I love them because there's so many things you can do with them.
They're so versatile.
They are, but putting candy corn in them and using them as part of your centerpiece is a really fun thing to do too.
Unless you have a weakness for candy corn, and then you just ban that from your house.
In my house, this is like when my kids were little, I would do a pretty centerpiece and then I would just like toss candy corn across the table. Mm-hmm. They knew better and not to eat it. And then one of my daughter's guy friends came over and we're sitting around the table eating, and he's just picking them up and eating them. My daughter's eyes got like huge as she looked at me, and I just sort of smiled and nodded like, it's okay. She's going like, you're eating my mom's decoration.
That was strategically placed candy corn, young man. Step away
That's exactly
from the table.
right. That's exactly right. But they're fun to put. Think about putting something, maybe not as formal, but maybe like really fun. A bunch of candles and a bunch of cylinders of different candy corn. They have all kinds of fun things. They have like the candy pumpkins and what have you that would really make a real fun centerpiece.
That is cute. That is fun.
Oh, and on that note, I think that's such a great tip. And don't eat that candy corn.
No, that's bad for you.
No, and remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey, everybody, we want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. When you subscribe, DTT comes free right to you 3 days a week. So until next time.